Coming to you from the Black Swan Media Studios, this is Fireside Chats, talking to the real difference makers in the world. Now, here is your host, John Crump.
Hey! There we go, that's a little bit better now. Hey everyone, how are you doing? My name is John Crump. I am the director for the State of Virginia for Gun Owners of America. I'm also a writer extraordinaire at MLN.com. Our guest is having a little trouble connecting, so I decided I'd go a little bit live, a little bit early, just before he gets on, just so we can talk about a couple things today, because today is Non-Firearms Friday. Okay, so before I get into that, let me just do my plugs and everything. We are sponsored by the wonderful people at Mantis X. Mantis X makes some incredible shooting supplies that is incredible. It's a training program that you put on your smartphone, and it connects to a little Bluetooth device that connects to the front of your guns. It works with dry fire, CO2, and live fire. It helps get rid of those little micro movements that you have, whether you pull the trigger left, right, whatever. It really does help with that. It's an incredible device. They also have something called the Blackbeard that's coming out that I will be getting, it looks like tomorrow. I can't wait to try it out. Basically, what the Blackbeard is, it's a laser that inserts into your AR-15, right? So you can see where it's hitting on the target for dry firing. It works with any number of laser spotter apps out there that helps you improve your shot. But a really cool thing that it does is that it resets the trigger on the AR-15, which is beautiful. The beautiful technique, and it really, really works. But yeah, so that is very, very cool there. Another thing that is going on today is I had to have a root canal, cracked my tooth, got infected. Not good. Teaches me to wear my neck guard, right? So that is something that I really want to go on. I'm not sure if our guest will be joining us today or not. He's having a little trouble. But so, without further ado, let's get into what I want to talk about. And that is my Patreon. You can join my Patreon at patreon.com/John Crump. For $5 a month, it will get you this little awesome PVC patch, which is awesome. $20 your signed book, $25 through a super chat, or $5 through a super chat will also get you that. Some people need to send me their address. You can do that through my Instagram at RealJohnCrump or at Black Swan Media Group over at Facebook. But so let's go ahead and talk about what I wanted to talk about today. Right before I came on, I just got word that the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals has decided to grant the AG of California an en banc hearing. The thing is, it only took them about 5 minutes, so I'm pretty sure they knew it was coming. Which, is that a good sign, bad sign? I don't know. Maybe they just knew it was coming, but yeah. So they had 5 minutes, and they went ahead and granted it. So it's going to go to the en banc court. I'm trying to get more information on it as we speak, but I was not able to get information on it quite as much as I would like. But yeah, it looks like we're going to en banc, but that is fine with me. We'll see it. I see Jerry out there. Hey, Jerry, how are you doing? So it's not Freedom Week in California yet. It's getting closer. Hopefully, the AG loses in the Ninth Circuit, and then it goes to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court rules in our favor. But right now, I'm dreaming on that, right? Who else is dreaming? All right. So while we're waiting for a guest, let's also talk about what happened in Kenosha. A couple different things I want to talk about in Kenosha. And the first thing is what happened to Elijah Schaefer. Elijah Schaefer is a reporter for The Blaze. He also does a show called, um, what the hell is it called again? No, I can't remember. Oh, Slightly Offensive. It's a really funny show. It's actually really, really funny. Well, Elijah Schaefer was undercover as a reporter, basically. Um, but a Black Lives Matter friendly reporter, which, he really isn't, but, probably the safest way to be. And what happened was, this is amazing, right? He goes and he's talking to this guy, and he says, "Hey, you know, what, what would you do if the police rolled up on us?" The dude pulls out a handgun and points it at the camera. With Elijah Schaefer is holding the camera, points it right at the camera and pulls the trigger. You can see right here. I'll just bring this up. You check that out. Pulls the trigger. If that gun was loaded or had a round chambered, I don't know if it was loaded. It could have been loaded without a round chambered. You hear a click, and the click goes off. Hey, Rogue Banshee, you want to come on? Our guest is having a little bit of an issue getting on, but so you hear a click and nothing happens, right? So obviously the round was not chambered, but if it was, that would have been incredibly, incredibly scary. So he dodged a bullet there. He dodged a bullet, I guess you could say, but that just shows, man, these protesters, they are not the greatest people in the world. And I'm not even talking about the protesters, I'm talking about the rioters. I'll just, it's StreamYard, so I'll just put it in the chat here. So just give me 1 second here. All right, go ahead. Use that one. So it could have been very, very bad. Luckily, it wasn't. And Elijah Schaefer backed off, and the guy went walking down the street. They haven't identified him. I'm not even sure if they're trying to identify him, which is scary. But he got away. And Rogue Banshee will be joining us. The other thing that happened, which was also scary, was, and this is a situation that's developing over time, and some of the stuff coming out is going back and forth. But what happened to the? Here he is, the Rogue Banshee. What's up, man?
What's happening?
Not much. I can barely hear you.
Yeah, I'm working on the audio right now. Hold on a second here.
All right. But now we're just talking about what happened to Elijah Schaefer with the protester pointing the gun and pointing the trigger at him.
It's funny. I've heard of this, but I haven't been able to actually check it out yet. So, does it sound better now?
Yeah. Oh, that sounds a lot better. Yeah, Elijah Schaefer said, "Hey, man, what would you do if the police rolled up?" And so the dude points the gun at him and goes, "This is what I'll do," and pulls the trigger. You hear either the hand going forward or the striker going forward. I'm not sure what type of gun it was. I really couldn't tell, but it's really scary, man.
The stupidity of people never ceases to amaze me. I mean, why would you? First of all, I mean, why would you do that to begin with? Second of all, I mean, who knows who else is out there that you're going to provoke something and you're going to provoke a response that you don't want. So,
where we actually fought.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm filing down a 3D printed part that I printed earlier today. So,
what are you printing out?
I am printing out magazine base for a P320 because I'm playing with the. I can't pick it up; it's sitting right there because we're live. But I'm playing with the Polymer 80 grip module for the P320. I did a video on this before, but I'm gonna give it some more love. But the problem I have is my magazine bases are the old style, and they don't fit very well into the gun. So rather than buy them, I have a 3D printer and I have some PETG. So I'm printing out some magazine bases to go out to the range with. But sorry, but anyways, didn't mean to derail the conversation.
No, I'm always looking to talk about technology.
Yeah, sorry. It's funny. I just came down to pick something up off the printer and saw that you're online, jumped on, and yeah,
it
done cutting grass.
It should be a non-firearm Friday, but our guest couldn't get things to work. So he's still trying, but can't work. So I decided to go live because kind of like, oh yeah, well, I almost have it fixed, and it doesn't really.
Well, it's all good. So, but yeah, it's kind of, I don't know. The protesters are they're just getting dumb. They're getting dumber.
I have no problem with the actual protesters. It's the rioters that I'm having.
The rioters, exactly. Yeah, let's definitely
a difference.
Sorry, something's on the printer and it sounds really. Printer sound kind of different. But yeah, I mean, these rioters are they're getting worse, and they're escalating even worse than they were before. So it's like, come on, guys. Sooner or later, something you're going to ignite something off. I mean, I realize that they're trying to do stuff and they're trying to be shocking as it is, but sooner or later, it just isn't going to end well. I mean, it's not, sorry, that thing is really noisy. But yeah, so, I mean, you have what happened in Kenosha. I mean, things are going to escalate now. And people just this is the time to kind of just sit back and maybe go, what we're doing, is it actually doing any good? I just don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it either, man. It's it's like I was talking to someone and they were like, well, they have the right to protest and gather. It's like it's a right for peaceful protest.
Yeah, they don't have the right to go burn somebody's business down, loot, riot. I mean, it's just, it's just, there's just a complete lack of respect for people and property. And, you have some people going, but they're insured. I go, yeah, but that insurance is going to cost money. It's going to cost them in the long run. Premiums are going to go up. It still doesn't, just because somebody has insurance doesn't give you the right to destroy the business. I mean, that's some very flawed logic right there.
Yeah, it definitely is, and they're just burning down stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
it looks like our guest, we're gonna have to reschedule for next week. So our guest this week is the Rogue Banshee.
Well, I'm glad I was in a place that I could jump on for you.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know what's funny is, if I did anything like this when I was a kid, my parents would beat my ass so bad. I mean, it's just so. I mean, society's gotten to the point where parents aren't involved in their kids anymore. Um, the kids can do whatever they want.
Yeah, the nuclear family's dead.
Yeah, I mean, you get the family is kind of like, what's sad to say, it's my generation, that we're so involved in ourselves that we don't want to. I mean, I grew up and both my parents worked. I was left at home alone all the time, but even then we still had a family unit that we dealt with things. I mean, there were guns in our house. They weren't locked up. Some were loaded for protection, and we never even thought about picking one up. I mean, the rules in our house was, if you want to see one, no problem. Talk to mom and dad will be more than happy to let you handle one or whatever, and it wasn't that big of a deal. But now it's just like, man, if you do that, you're the most evil person in the world. But even it's I was brought up to respect them. I was brought up to respect firearms, and things like that, and I was brought up to respect people. When I was in high school, during my rebellious years, my father was like, if you do something,
You had a rebellious years?
My rebellious years. My father was like, I can handle just about anything, but disrespect. If you disrespect your teachers or any of the faculty at school, we're going to have a problem. So that's how I was brought up, is respect.
Yeah.
So
I guess I was brought up by I don't know. Probably not as good as I could have been. I guess what I'm saying is I wasn't as good as I could have been, but what kid is. But
yeah,
I always knew where that line was.
yeah.
And
I mean,
that's something that we are missing a lot.
I mean, would you have been out there rioting and burning down buildings?
No.
Yeah.
I care too much about my future to do that.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was the same thing as me. I mean, in high school, I remember being my senior year, a guidance counselor was like, "Hey, you'd be a really good teacher because you're really patient and you like to talk to people and show things." I go, "I'd be the worst. I'd be the worst teacher in the world." And he's like, "What do you mean?" I go, "If I ever caught a kid doing what I did in school, I'd knock him right out of his chair." So that's when he looked at me. I'm like, "Yeah, I'd be a really bad teacher."
One of the things that I had going for me is I was not really into peer pressure.
Yeah.
Peer pressure really never affected me too much.
Well, I was, in school, I didn't have a lot of friends. Even now, I wouldn't say I have a lot of acquaintances, but friends are someone that I really reserve that for some people I really know. There are people I have complete trust in. So I was never in the big groups and stuff like that. I always thought it was kind of stupid. Um, so yeah, I didn't buy into peer pressure either. Just because if I saw somebody doing something, I just thought it was stupid. I'm like, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Not to say That's not saying I didn't do anything when I was stupid when I was a kid. I mean, I had more than my share.
Well, I
But
was in cars, so going out cruising, going out to car meets and stuff like that.
yeah, um, but it's just it's a different time, and it's just I worry about we're letting all this happen now. I mean, they could stop this if they wanted to. They politically, some of these places don't want to. They want this stuff to happen. And what's that say about what they, what the politicians think about you as a person? Um, you know, it's just if you don't see that as time to get out of where you're at, it's time to move on and move somewhere where you are respected. Um, and um, Yeah, I don't know why. I get the whole thing of I grew up here and stuff like that. I get all that. Or I wanted to live here. Totally get it. But if if you're not going to be protected by the people running things, why would you want to stick around? I mean, protect yourself, and then you're going to get arrested, charged for defending yourself.
You're one.
Yeah. So I mean,
one of the guys actually. There's a video that came out which actually shows one of the guys. I take it you're talking about Kyle.
yes.
There's a video that came out that shows one of the guys actually pulling a gun on him.
Well, yeah, wasn't he? Wasn't he also the one that one of the ones that was killed?
No, the guy pulled a gun on him, got his bicep exploded.
Okay, all right. Because I'm kind of fuzzy on because I know one of them. One of the ones that died was a convicted felon for robbery, wasn't he?
Well, they all were felons, all three of them. The first guy was saying, shoot me, N-word, shoot me, N-word. Then he started running after him and threw something at him. And there's some reports saying that Kyle did him and hit him. That was another guy firing. And there was other shots fired that wasn't fired from his AR. That were fired from other places. If you watch the video, I've been looking at the videos, trying to decipher what really happened. You do see some shots going off, or hear some shots going off, when clearly not from his rifle.
Well, and that's the whole part. That's the whole thing that's got me confused about a lot of this stuff. Is there's so many stories and so many videos out there. It's hard to put together what actually did happen.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do. I do know the dude with the skateboard. His record, right? He had felony imprisonment by multiple domestic abuses. So I was able to verify that on that guy. That dude was bad news. The dude with a gun, he's also a felon. I was able to verify he had charges against him. The first dude I'm working on right now, but there's some rumors and screenshots going around about him allegedly being a child molester. But I mean, I have not confirmed that. Not because I haven't been able to find anything. It's just I haven't been able to get around to it.
Sure.
But I did find a video where the dude with the handgun, it shows him pulling the gun before.
I did see that. Yeah, I did see that.
Not off. People are like, "Oh, he just hit him in the head with the skateboard. What damage does that cause?" Well, out in Portland, there's a guy that's laying in a coma for his life right now because he got hit in the head with the skateboard.
Yeah, I mean, there's my wife and I we were actually talking about this earlier today about she's like, people are going to start screaming about, these people didn't need to die. And I said to her, I go, you know what? They're absolutely right. These people didn't need to die, but they made a decision that put them into the wrong place. I mean, and that decision to not die was in their hands, but they were out doing stuff. I mean, I forget who said it. One of my favorite quotes is, "Don't be in stupid places doing stupid things with stupid people." Um, there's a lot of that going on right now,
Play
and
games, win stupid prizes.
yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. It's just so people. I'm sad that people died. I don't fault the kid for that. Um,
Yeah, and
he
people
was
are like, well, another thing that's going around is that he crossed the border into Wisconsin with the rifle. That's not true. That rifle didn't belong to him. It belonged to a Wisconsin resident.
we see that's the stuff that that the press doesn't let us know about, right? I mean, that's actually the first time I've heard that story is right now.
Yeah.
Um, and and that's the other part is I can't trust where I'm hearing the news from because let's face it, the news has their own agenda, and they're never going to let the truth come out.
And when he first started well, he was administering first aid when he started getting chased originally. For the first guy that got shot, that's
Yeah,
why I chased him. He was administering first aid to someone that got hit by something. The guy started chasing him because he was giving somebody first aid. So
yeah.
that showed.
So the videos I was watching, they had him running, and then they were yelling he just shot someone, and that was before he actually opened fire. That's why as I didn't understand that. I knew that there was another shooting, but
There was
I
another.
mean that
He was administering first aid, and some dude attacked him and he threw something at him. What it was, it's still up in the air. It looked like it was on fire, but I can't. I mean, that could have been just like the light, you know.
yeah,
But yeah, and this is what happened. He these guys set a dumpster fire on. So he put on the dumpster fire. Somebody else got hurt. So he started after he put out the dumpster fire, started administering first aid, and then they didn't like it because they put out the dumpster fire, and he was administering first aid to a guy that was putting out the dumpster fire. So,
God,
um, and the people are like, yeah, well, he didn't live there. Why would he? Why was he there? It's like the three guys that got shot. None of them lived there either.
yeah. That's the greatest part about that.
So you
Um,
be hypocritical there.
yeah, I mean, if you're going to go with that logic, that logic goes both ways. Yeah, it just yeah, I don't know. It's going to take a while. It's going to take a while for all this stuff to settle down. I, I'm under the thought process that I think no matter which way this election goes, it's not going to get better. Um, it, you know, if Joe wins, they're not going to stop rioting just because of that. Something else is going to ignite something off, and they're going to riot about it. And that's the whole problem is that rioting is the new cool thing. So they're going to do it because your chances of getting caught are so low. You can do just about anything you want. Um,
And
you
they have
know,
like a release thing.
yeah. I mean, I mean, what's so funny is that
You
I
know,
don't want to say it's funny. It's a lack of disrespect. I mean, you got people throwing bricks at cops that are not doing anything. They're standing on the other side of the fence.
well, here's the thing. There's been a couple little skirmishes in DC, but there really haven't been big rioting in DC. And I know why that is. DC doesn't have a catch and release program.
Mm.
If they bust you for rioting in DC, they're gonna the book's getting thrown at you.
Yeah, you see, my whole knowledge of DC is old. I used to live in Maryland, um, but that's back in the Marion Barry days. So I, I kind of pulled away from that area, but I did not know that DC. Well, but it makes sense with all the federal government there to not have a catch and release.
No, it's
They're not
definitely
going.
place. It's catching you get a freaking felony.
Yeah,
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 but you know what? There's been a couple different things, but there hasn't been massive rioting like you've seen in Kenosha and Minneapolis and these other cities, Portland, Seattle. And that's because these other cities, they just let the rioters go. And DC is like, no, we're sending you to prison.
yeah. It's
But DC has more experience with dealing with protests.
yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, that's where you go to protest your government. I mean,
Yeah,
seriously, um, I mean, just look at all the protests from Vietnam era. I mean, those but they see that was also peaceful protests. I mean, I'm
yeah,
not saying that things didn't get out of hand, but nothing like this.
no,
I'm fine if you're pissed and you want to go march down the street and yell, go for it. But yeah, when you start rioting, my patience for that is pretty short.
yeah, me too, man. It's definitely mine. Mine is very short when it comes to rioting. Rioting's just it's not good. I mean, it's not what it's about. You know.
No,
Um.
no, yeah, it's sad.
There's a few different things that is going around. Have you ever seen PJ Media, right?
Mhm.
They have an interesting article, and if you guys are out there and you want to read it, I'll link it over there. But everyone should read it. It basically is the Civil War imminent, and it goes through and it breaks it down, and it talks about the media and how the things are getting twisted, and how like you saw this right where they go up and they wanted the lady to put up the communist revolution flag,
Yeah.
or not flag of the salute, and she refused, and they started getting in her face yelling.
Well, what's so funny is I mean, I'm a very big proponent of understand history, um, because history. Um, I don't want to say history repeats itself, but it looks very familiar from time to time. And people are, it's so funny they go about and they got the communist hammer and sickle and stuff like that, and they want all this communism and what's so funny is that do you think communist Russia would let any of this happen? I mean, leading into communist Russia, I mean, just in World War II, and they'd they'd fire on their own troops for retreating. Um, it's like, do you guys really think this is going to happen?
Nah, I mean it's gonna be interesting, and they did. That was in World War II.
Yeah,
Battle of was it Stalingrad?
I think it was.
Yeah, Stalingrad, when they gave certain people guns, and
Yeah, they didn't have enough guns,
basically
so
away when someone near you die, pick up their gun.
pick up the gun and run. Yeah,
Yeah, and if you turn
So
around, you
yeah, I mean, they want all this stuff, and they have, they have all these ideas that this stuff's going to be great, and uh, it's just, it's like, guys, it's not going to end the way that you want it to end. Um, you may think that this is all cool, and you know, if they're like, everybody was treated the same. No, they weren't. The ruling class was not treated the same way as the citizens.
maybe we
I
are
mean,
all end with free South American helicopter rides for all the communists.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So it's just, just
My face sucks.
I mean, this is all, um, it's all. I'm trying to figure out how to say this, and there's no real politically correct way of saying it, but we a, a certain party has infiltrated the education system, and this is what came out of it.
Well,
Uh,
I've written a lot of articles about Antifa and their connection with BAM, which is by any means necessary. And one of the things that by any means necessary, which is a admittedly Marxist organization,
right.
and like everyone in there is on school boards and teachers and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's just, I'm not saying that all education is evil, but
You know.
I mean, it's not education; it's programming. Um, it's so funny. When I was a kid, I heard homeschooling and stuff like that, and I just thought people are crazy doing homeschooling. Um, as an adult, I wouldn't want any of my kids in school.
Well,
Um,
we sent my kids to private school because of we don't want them going to public school.
I started off in public school. Um, I was passed on. I went from first grade to second grade to third grade, and in third grade, I was labeled as learning disabled,
Yeah, we talked about
uh,
that.
and it's just it's stupid. I went into private school after that. I repeated third grade, and I was still considered, you know, not quite learning disabled, but a little slow. And it wasn't until I hit seventh grade when my seventh grade teacher, he figured me out. He's like, he's not learning disabled. He's just bored.
Yeah, we talked about that, and that happens to a lot of kids. It's because they
Yeah.
don't want time. They don't want to take time and looking into it.
Well, and I was the kid that always, if you said something, I wanted to know why. And teachers don't want to tell you why. Like,
Because a
two
lot
two plus
of
two is four. Well, why is it four? I want to know why. I want to understand this. And, well, it just is. Just remember your times tables and whatever.
I have a friend that's a teacher, and an interesting thing was they were like, "Oh, in this upcoming year, you're going to be teaching robotics." He's like, "I don't know anything about damn robotics." Luckily, it turned out he had an aptitude for it, and he really fell in love with it.
Yeah.
It's like the best teaching job he's ever had. He loves it. Because he just fell in love with robotics. But if it wasn't like, oh, we see you have an aptitude for it. It was just like, oh, you're next in line to get a class. Here's your class.
Yeah.
They just got lucky that he actually enjoyed it. He is his passion now, but he didn't know that was gonna be his passion, and they didn't know it was gonna be his passion. It just happened to work out that way.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. I would not, I would not do well in public school again. Um, it just, I was going to be one of the ones left behind, um, and they're just going to keep doing it. I mean, it's not school anymore. It's just, it's just repeat back to me. Um, you're gonna get ahead if you can just repeat back to me. No critical thinking, no systems thinking. Nothing like that. Just memorize the stuff and you'll be fine.
See, that's what I like about my kids' my private school. It was like the best decision I ever made because they do teach them critical thinking. There's a lot of
Yeah.
critical thinking, and the teachers there, they're not union. They get paid higher than the public teachers, but with that higher pay is the chance that if you don't perform, you're gonna be out of there, and they're gonna put someone in the higher paying job that does perform. So, a lot
Yeah.
of I think people who don't care about that, like, I just want to, I don't want the chance of excelling and making more money. I want the safe and easy route. But then, when you take that safe and easy route, a lot of times you get called out. Like my friend, he's a public teacher, and he gets called out a lot. They're like, "Why? Oh, you're spending too much time, blah blah blah." You're working too much overtime to help out these kids and tutor them. And he's like, I'm doing this because I want to teach."
Yeah. Because I care, you know. Um, yeah, I mean, like I said, there are good teachers out there. I don't want to say that there's everything, the whole system is bad. Um, it's just there's some bad administrators out there that enable bad people below them, and the good people just get drowned out.
Yeah.
Um, so it's sad. And then kids go out and riot and think it's like playing Xbox.
Well, there's another thing. It's not exactly about how much you spend per student either.
No, no. I mean,
They've actually done studies to show there's no correlation with states that spend the most per student is like don't have the exact best results.
yeah, it's um, yeah. I mean, there's there's very few times in my life that I've seen stuff, especially in my professional life, where I saw that money can solve everything. Um, it can solve some things, but you have to fix the underlying problems in order for the money to be effective.
Yeah. Our public schools around here are pretty good. I will have to say that. They're a lot of critical thinking and everything. And they do a lot of like really cool programs. So our public schools aren't exactly that bad around here. But if you compare like our public schools in Northern Virginia and Virginia to schools in like New York, our schools are ranked a lot higher, but yet our cost per student is a lot lower, which is crazy.
It's it is. So what do you think is causing that? Do you think it's parent involvement, or
Oh, of why our schools are better?
yeah,
Uh, we have well, one of the things I think it is we have Northern Virginia. And Virginia is like one of the most educated states. Northern Virginia is the most educated state, and Virginia is one of the most educated states in the country. So, I think it's just the demand, um, that you know, there's uh compared to like New York, for example, there's a lot of um like in my area, it's a big Indian American population and Asian American population, and they're really into their kids' education. This
mhm.
is just my area alone. So they watch and they complain. Um, and that, I mean, that might be a stereotype of Indians and Asians, but it's a
Well,
good stereotype, and it's a true stereotype. So they're not going to let the schools get away with just teaching their kids crap just to pass them through. They're going to
sure.
demand that they actually learn.
So parent involvement.
Exactly.
So it kind of goes, yeah. It's just, and how many riots are in Northern Virginia right now?
There was not a riot. There was in one of like Annapolis, there was a little, I guess, disturbance, but it wasn't really a riot. They're just blocking off the streets.
Yeah, it wasn't a Kenosha um, or a Portland or anything like that.
No, but like Virginia also has a very high number of concealed carry permit holders, so, which might have a little bit to do with it.
Yeah, well, that's just it it's kind of funny about that. I mean, um, you talk about the cities. Well, let's just say Chicago. You got some of the toughest gun laws, and they want to take more guns away. And it's like,
Yeah.
why would you do that? You're not. It's not doing anything because the guns that you're complaining about are not the ones that you're taking away from lawful citizens.
Well,
Um,
here's another thing though. Before I forget, uh, I had the leader of one of our BLM movements on the show a couple weeks ago or last week, and basically they have refused to let Antifa co-opt their most of their events. There've been a couple, but most of the events where they've been involved in, they've been able to push Antifa out, say, get the hell out of here. We don't want you here. In fact, to the point of actually having the Boogaloo Boys come in and keep Antifa away. And the ones that there've been issues with are like actual like BLM stuff. Not really BLM stuff, but they're actually what am I going to say? They're actual Antifa masquerading as BLM, and also the BLM, our biggest BLM group around here, is not only not associated with the BLM LLC, the organization BLM, the national organization. They've actually been disowned by the Sean King BLM LLC.
It's funny, but yeah, I mean, that's the problem. You can have a good movement, and then you have people that will infiltrate that movement and completely derail it.
Yeah.
I mean, they're causing such. The people who are doing this are causing such a rift in there. I mean, you think about it, it's what happens. What's going to happen when the people who just want to be left alone are forced to not is the forced to react.
And it's coming to that, though. It's coming to that. They're pushing more and more to that.
So, I mean, that's the whole thing. Is that, I mean, that's like me. I just want to be left alone. I don't care what color you are. I don't care who you sleep with. I really don't care. As long as it's consensual or whatever you're doing, is you're not harming anybody else. I could care less what you do.
So what do you think of these maps, people?
I haven't even dealt with that yet. I haven't even started looking into it.
You're going to be pissed off.
Oh, I'm sure I will. I'm sure I will. It's just right now is I'm hitting my threshold for crap I can deal with, and I didn't feel like dealing with reading about one more. But yeah, I'm sure I'm going to be pissed off. But I don't, it just the people who want to be left alone when they get pushed, they're good. They take crap, they take crap, they take crap, they take crap. Eventually, they stop taking crap, and that's when things happen. You know.
Gorilla and Gun says he pulled his kids out of schools.
I was just reading that.
Yeah, he lived in the Richmond area. Uh, I salute him for that. Like I said, like the Northern Virginia, the Loudoun County area where I live at is their schools are different, like Fairfax as well, are different from the rest of the Virginia schools just because it, the parent involvement.
Yeah, yeah. It's just, I mean, I lived in Maryland. I lived in Prince George's County for a year.
He lived in PG
Um,
County.
I did. I lived in Laurel
Well,
um, for a year, um, right by the shooting range for the FBI that was there off of 295. Um, it's I kind of lived in that area for a year. I was 15 then, um, and then I lived in Rising Sun in Northern Maryland. That was a that was a big shock for a Philly boy, um, but it just it, it was. I never got over some of the laws. You know, growing up in Pennsylvania, we, we didn't have weird gun laws like they did in Maryland, and I had such a hard time with gun laws that, man, I left Maryland. I moved to Delaware because Delaware was better gun laws. Um, and then, I learned about Joe Biden moving to Delaware. Um, but yeah, it's just you just look at some of the stuff and just shake your head and you just go, people don't get it at all. Um, I mean, God, my 21st birthday, I went out and bought a Glock on my birthday, and then waited my mandatory waiting period to get my gun. And that's when I was like, this is stupid. Um, Maryland's just got, what does it really matter if I wait 5 days, for my cooling off period? I mean, really, if somebody's going to do something, they'll figure a way of doing it.
yeah,
But yeah, I lived in PG County.
yeah. Gorilla and Guns also points out that Northern Virginia is kind of a ritzy area, so it might be
Well,
another
well,
reason.
you have to be able to afford the housing.
Yeah, so that might be another reason why the schools are pretty good up here. Um, yeah, it's a weird world that we live in.
It's only going to get weirder.
Yeah,
I mean,
it,
seriously.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I just want to throw out there the Gorillas and Guns out there that Kevin Dixie is going to be teaching a class in November at a private range, probably about like 20 minutes away from your house, if not closer. You might want to look into that. I'll get you the information if you want. It's my buddy's range. He has built up a really nice private range. Like his private range is nicer than a lot of non-private ranges, public ranges.
Uh, what's funny is when we moved to Montana and we joined the range here, it's going to be one of the nicest outdoor ranges I've seen in a long time. Um, and I just shake my head. I'm just like, wow, this is amazing. Um, when you get to some of these ranges that, I mean, my range pass is $40 a year for a really nice range, and there's steel to shoot on. And it's amazing when you have people that really care. But when you get a private range like that, um, you know, that's why I want my 20 acres just so I can go build my range and be left alone. So I can go. I don't have to go. I don't have to drive an hour to go shoot.
Yeah, that'd be nice. One of my friends, him, and another guy, they put some money aside and they bought 20 acres in Northern Virginia, which is kind of a pretty penny.
I say, is there 20 acres to be bought?
Very few, but they bought it, and they're building 3 ranges in like a bug out area with actual like barracks and stuff.
That would be it's not a bug out area. And that's the gun club. That's the
Yeah,
clubhouse.
yeah, right. But it's gonna be fully stocked and everything. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's
Nah,
yeah, I'm
he
gonna say
they
because
have money. They're both like retired executive VPs for like I don't want to call them out by saying what companies, but they're pretty big companies.
well, it's funny because I'm thinking, here 20 acres is about, depending on what part of the state you're in, can be anywhere from 160 to 260,000. I can't imagine what 20 acres in Northern Virginia would cost.
That would 160 to that to 260,000 will get you a
Quarter acre.
no, it won't get you that. It'll get you like like a third of an apartment. A third of a. I'm not even joking.
No, I can imagine.
I think the cheapest you can find a apartment around here for is probably mid threes for like a condo. For like I don't know. It's crazy. Oh, well, in Ashburn, at least where I live. Let's see, cheapest condo in Ashburn. I don't know. Yeah, I live in
Yeah,
Ashburn, which is not exactly cheap. Condo condos are selling Ashburn. So here it is: 439, 455, 334 for a condo. That's not bad.
no,
339, 329 for a condo.
God, it's just it's funny when you think about what you can buy in different areas, and where that money goes. Um, we laughed because when we moved out here in 2000, moved back in 2003, came back again in 2006. And between that 2003 and 2006, we got out right before the market crashed on the East Coast.
No, that's good.
And in 3 years, our house went up like it was like 80 grand, and we're just looking at each other, just like that's stupid. But we're totally going to take that money and run. I think let's see, we've been here
Oh,
14 years.
I,
And I think this.
I found a condo that's cheap for sale by
Okay.
owner. It's not saying why, but it's like it's like the cheapest by like 100 grand, and there's like no picture. So
Yeah. So it's going to be a Home Depot special.
it's a 205, and it's 700 square feet.
Oh God, I'm just thinking. My studio here is 12 by 14. So that'd be like half of that apartment. Well, not half. That'd be about a quarter.
Yeah, crazy, man. All right, well, we've been on for about an hour, and my freaking mouth is killing me.
Yeah, I saw Gorilla was asking how you were doing.
Yeah, yeah. I grind my teeth at night, and I never wear my mouth guard. So I crack the tooth, and then I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'll wait a little bit because
Yeah.
I'm busy with stuff, which is probably not a good idea because then it gets infected.
Yeah. Yeah,
Group now.
that sucks.
Yeah, I learned
Well,
my lesson.
all right, man. Well, it's good to jump on with you.
Well, thank you for filling in the last moment. It was good,
Yeah, no
man.
problem.
I'm gonna have to change around the thumbnail and everything. Tell everyone where they can find you at.
You can reach me YouTube, Full 30, Gunstreamer, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter is all the Rogue Banshee. So you can reach me on all those platforms. If you just Google the Rogue Banshee, you'll either run into one of my channels or my website.
And all my links are in the bottom. All right, thank you guys. We'll be back on Monday. We have uh, uh, Davey Boy Bones from Down the Barrel. Really cool guy. He does all like the Black Rambo rifles, and he builds rifle for Killer Mike, the rapper. A really cool guy. So you got to hook up with him, man. Also a sponsor. All right. I will see you guys later. Where's my damn button? Sorry.